So got to thinking now, with the season behind us, who's set up for success, not just for next year, but for the next 3 years? It's also probably a conversation we should have, as the college football playoff automatic qualifiers is essentially all but guaranteed to look different here when we get to 2026 and beyond. I want us to talk about this together. Who are the top 10 teams set up for success in college football over the next 3 years? Make sure you are subscribed. Appreciate you on YouTube when you are dialed in being subscribed to that degree. My criteria for this list, 10 up to 1, head coach / head coach stability. If your head coach is flirting with the NFL, yeah, it's probably going to hurt my confidence level in putting you as a team that's going to have a ton of success over the course of the next 3 years. Not that I don't think you can still have success with a new head coach, but yeah, I do have to account for that variable. I think we all do. How are your resources? It's no secret, if you want to win at the highest level in college football, you better be willing to pay at the highest level in college football. Track record to me is important, not everything, but I do think we can get a good gauge for the future by taking a pulse of the history. I digress. Also, how you're recruiting. Obviously, talent is the lifeblood of the sport, especially at the high school level. I don't care what Twitter, ML, Football, Dov Kleiman are trying to tell you. It still matters, all right? NFL Rookie Watch, too. You're not exempt from this. So, 10 up to 1. At number 10, I got Texas A&M. To me, this is a resources bet. We know what they're about in College Station. We know they love their Aggies. We know they will give big money to support their Aggies. This is a Mike Elko bet. I said it before. I believe so much in what he brings to the table. I think he is everything that A&M has been missing. Structure, toughness, culture, all those things. Not to say you didn't have it. You didn't have it at this level. Done more with less his entire career. He gets A&M. A lot of people will push back on this and say, here we go again, drinking the Kool-Aid. Do you believe this guy? This guy's he's falling for it again. Again, I have not fallen for the A&M hype train just yet. I'm doing it this year. If we get hurt, so be it. We'll talk about it. But A&M as a place is not snake bitten. There's nothing wrong with the logo. There's nothing wrong with Kyle Field. There's no voodoo. It's just the way that it's gone the last couple of seasons. Mike Elko has not been the head coach for that. Marcel Reed has not been the quarterback for that. Also, doesn't hurt that you may have him for not just this year, but also next year if you want to talk about the next 3 years. So A&M for me at 10, feel pretty good about that. Also, they recruited at a high level. I don't think that'll change anytime soon. And number 9, I got Tennessee. I trust Josh Heupel, man. And you look at what Tennessee is under him. One, they've won a lot. Okay, 2 double-digit win seasons over the course of the last 3 years. That's first off. Second off, he just had his best recruiting class of his entire time in Knoxville. So you're watching the trend. It just kind of keeps going up and to the right. Not a bad vibe. They're always going to, I believe, as long as Josh Heupel's the head coach, be able to recruit a quarterback. George McIntyre in this most recent class. Jake Merklinger in the class before. Nico Iamaleava. Like, you see where I'm going with this. They have one of the most difficult positions to account for. You feel pretty good about Josh Heupel going and adding a player at that position. Now, the evolution of Tennessee that we're starting to see is the way they are adapting in the trenches. We've said this many times, but if you're new, welcome. We'll say it again. Tennessee used to have to scheme around the trenches. We don't have the big boys up front. Therefore, we have to beat you with scheme and beat you with guys on the outside and matchups and quarterback play, all that. That's great. It's well and good. It's a nice short-term play. Josh Heupel understood for us the next phase is getting those big boys. Y'all, they got them. Of their most recent recruiting class, their top 2 prospects were on the offensive and defensive line. Not a coincidence. It's the way Tennessee's trending. I believe in the direction. I like Josh Heupel in Tennessee a lot, and to me, they're in the top 10 when you look at the next 3 years. Now, at number 8, I got LSU. And when I put LSU down in this list, the song I'll Stand By You just sort of kept playing in my head. Because we've said this for a long time around Brian Kelly. I think he's as steady as they come. I think you can talk about what he didn't do at Notre Dame and have a conversation about what Marcus Freeman's doing now, but also understand that Brian Kelly at LSU has a lot more firepower behind him at LSU, a big reason why he took the job. If Les Miles can win a national title at LSU, I get it's a different era. I have a hard time believing that Brian Kelly can't get it done. Is it the next 3 years? I don't know. But you look at how they recruit. You look at the way that they are going to, I believe, have resource power. They showed that off this past portal cycle. LSU, I'm not so sure that they're not going to have a similar awakening to what Michigan had this past portal cycle and what they did on the recruiting trail. And I know that's kind of a tough comp to make because of the whole Bryce Underwood thing, which is, again, I apologize for the friction there. But I'm not so sure that LSU won't just kind of get pissed off for greatness. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not so sure if LSU and the people involved in Baton Rouge and the pride and the logo and all those things that matter so much to them, I don't know if there's not a point where they just say, you know what? We're going to pour a ridiculous amount of money into this thing. We're going to have however many $1 million worth of a roster because that's how much we care. And so if that's the case, I think LSU is very much so in the mix. And the Brian Kelly jokes will fly. Let them fly. We will laugh when it's all said and done. And number 7, I got Alabama. I wasn't sure where to put Bama because you're trying to make a 3-year projection based on a 1-year sample size of a new head coach in Kalen DeBoer. This is a bet for me. I am betting that Kalen DeBoer's best football is still ahead of him in Tuscaloosa. And I'm also betting that what he does on the recruiting trail will be sustainable. Nobody questioned if Kalen DeBoer can coach ball, man. I mean, the dude's 113 and 16 as a head coach. That's okay. I think that works out just fine. Yeah, you're wearing Nick Saban-sized shoes right now to try and, walk in what he did in Tuscaloosa. But the question was, can he recruit? And he is recruiting. A top 3 class this past cycle. You got to get the NIL thing figured out, but I like where Bama's heading the next couple of years. I'm not selling stock. I'll go ahead and bet DeBoer and feel good about doing it. At number 6, our team that will have our team that is set up for success over the course of the next 3 years. Y'all, I'm taking Michigan. And I get last year wasn't the perfect storm for Sharon Moore's first season, but you still beat Ohio State, the national champion, at their place, planted a flag, good vibes. You still beat Alabama, a team that was knocking on the door of the college football playoff. NIL is something that is going to be a weapon for them in the future. Like Steve Wiltfong said it best on our National Signing Day show, they are going to have a loaded gun when it comes to NIL. That's wild. That is extremely wild. And also you add on to that the idea that you have a quarterback in Bryce Underwood for the next 3 years, which is this timeline that we're trying to evaluate. That's going to help you, I believe, change the trajectory of what Michigan football has even looked like. Michigan's only a year removed from a natty. So, I mean, I love the way they're built. I love the brand. I love the NIL power. Michigan is a scary force here. More on them later in the show if you're watching the full hour show. But Michigan, I think, is definitely set up for success. I got them at number 6. At number 5, I got Notre Dame. All right, now Notre Dame, this is a Marcus Freeman play for me. They're likely, given the structure of the playoff, going to host a playoff game as long as they're in the 12-team format pretty much every single year. Cato has coined it the Southman Invitational, and I think we should get shirts made, quite frankly, because I think he's right. Marcus Freeman is still getting better at this, and the recruiting, I think, is only going to continue to improve under him. Not that he's not a good recruiter. He is what I'm telling you. But now he has real skins on the wall behind him to pitch to recruits as to why they should come to Notre Dame and be a part of future national championships. So Marcus Freeman, only been on the job for 3 years as a head coach, period, not just Notre Dame. He's going to get better at this, and I have to believe that his next 3 years will be better than his last 3 years, and he made a national title in that third year. So take of that as you will. At number 4, I got Ohio State. The resources, we talk about the $20 million roster from this last year. That's fine. They just won a national title. I don't think they're staying at $20 million, spoiler alert. The brand in itself will help recruiting. The roster is always going to be elite. I think Ryan Day is a top 2 coach in the sport. I've said that before. 70-10, won a national title, mic drop, keep the Michigan jokes to yourself. That's fine. The reason why I don't have Ohio State higher on this list, and I'll address that right now because I think it's going to be one of the big pushbacks. I'm really curious to see what the future is for Ohio State and Ryan Day past the next season or next 2 seasons. Obviously, 3 seasons is our sample size. There's no great way to say this, so I'm just going to come out and try to get to the point here. Ryan Day got an extension. I think that he has belief behind him. We believe in him. I wonder how tender that relationship is should they lose to Michigan one time in the next 2 years. Because that rivalry now, we all understand. We know how ugly it can be. It's. I mean, we appreciate that it's ugly. We're here for it being ugly, but like, there was some real kickback there towards Ryan Day and his family and all that when they lost again. So I wonder now, not does Ohio State part ways with Ryan Day. I wonder if somehow Ohio State loses to Michigan here in the future. We got him at number 6 on this list. Does Ryan Day just say, I want to go to the NFL? I wouldn't like that. I don't think that would be best for Ohio State. I don't think that'd be best for anybody. I mean, maybe it's best for Ryan Day. I don't know. I can't speak to that. But it's just, I think that's something we have to at least account for. That's why I don't have Ohio State higher. If you're telling me Ryan Day is going to be at Ohio State for the next 10 years, you can make a case for them being number 1 on this list, to be honest with you. But that's why I have them at 4. At number 3, I got the best head coach in the sport, Kirby Smart in Georgia. I don't think he's going anywhere. Recruiting is going to consistently be at a top 5, top 3 level, I think, as long as he's there. The development factor, too, for them is always going to be creme de la creme. How many times have you watched the NFL Combine and then some dude who blows it up is a Georgia guy? Nolan Smith, Ladd McConkey, it feels routine at this point. That's the scary part. They take already really high-level ingredients and get even more out of them. The Kirby Smart culture, I think, is going to still be dangerous. We saw the traits this past year. Georgia wasn't great really at anything and still won the SEC. If your down year is winning the SEC, I think Georgia's probably in a good spot here going forward. Now, number 2, I got Oregon. And people will make the postseason jokes, make the jokes you want to make. Just make sure you also mention that Dan Lanning has gotten better every single year. He's won more games every single year. They just won the Big Ten. They have as much brand power with kids in high school these days as I think anyone in college football, and the resources are second to none. Dan Lanning, I don't think is going anywhere. I think he's going to be extremely difficult to try and poach. If I'm buying stock, I'm buying a whole heck of a lot of it in Oregon over the course of the next 3 years. I've said it many times. It is when, not if, he wins a national title at Oregon. I think it'll be in the next 3 years. Just my take on things. Now, at number 1, the Texas Longhorns. Talk about brand power with Oregon, same deal for Texas. You have a coach who I believe is top 3 in the sport, who is very much so a known commodity at this point. I would have a hard time talking about potential with Steve Sarkisian and not having him any higher on that list than any lower on the list than number 3. I feel like he's so developed as a head coach, which is weird to say, but you talk about Marcus Freeman and Dan Lanning and some of these other guys on this list, Sharon Moore, and a lot of those guys I think are still finding who they are as head coaches. And that's not a bad thing. I think you should always strive to improve. Steve Sarkisian's been around the block now. Steve Sarkisian's had success. He's had failures. I feel like he's a very steady force here and is built for modern college football, and he's built for modern college football even more so given where he is at Texas. He's honed his craft, the geography, how close he is to so much talent. I think Texas in of themselves are an absolute powder keg, and I think they will be a college football playoff / national title contender every single year. And again, I put him in that category with Lanning. I think it's win, not if he wins one while he's at Texas. So honorable mentions, then we'll recap it here. The honorable mentions for me, like Miami, you can make a case for them being on this list. I want to see them own the state of Florida a little bit more. I love the idea of just going and getting the top portal quarterback every year. I want to see how sustainable that is. Arizona State, if you're telling me they're going to run the Big 12, which I don't think is irresponsible over the course of the next few years, Kenny Dillingham activates the Valley, vibes are immaculate. Maybe Arizona State is a team that's kind of just a routine college football playoff attender. And SMU, when you talk about resources, is absolutely in that discussion as well. Penn State, you think you could make a case for. Clemson, if Dabo adjusts, you can make a case for. So I get it. We're going to have a lot of different teams that people think should have been in here, but regardless, that's my list. So to recap it here, 10 up to 1, Texas A&M at 10, Tennessee at 9, LSU at 8, Alabama at number 7, Michigan at 6, Notre Dame at 5, Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame at 5, Ohio State at 4, Georgia at 3, Oregon at 2, Texas at 1.